Hi, I'm Les Moreland. I'm the current commander, AMVETS Post 2006 here in Leesburg, Florida. And we're a proud sponsor of Central Florida Salute on the YouTube channel. I'd like to have you check us out on our Facebook page or whatever. Our address is 500 North Canal Street in Leesburg, Florida. To all you veterans out there, come by and see us. We salute you for your service and thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me is, he's an old friend. I haven't seen him in a while, Mike Summers, who served the United States Army, and as you can see by his shirt with the DAV. And welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you. It's good to have you have me on.
Tell me a little bit. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Sebastian, Florida.
You're a cracker.
Well,
Sorta.
not really. I'm a late transplant or an early transplant. I was a military brat, and so we ended up in Sebastian, Florida.
Okay. Your dad was Army, or?
Yes, he was. Yes, and we had property down here. My grandfather's had been coming here since the 20s, and so we had a connection here, and so it was just kind of a natural migration after my dad retired from the Army.
He was career man.
He was. That was a big influence in my life, and the reason I joined the Army. I didn't expect to stay in as long as I did, but it was kind of a tried it and liked it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I really loved the lifestyle. It gave me purpose, it gave me direction, and I used my natural talent to teach other people in warfighting skills, and it was very rewarding.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me about your dad. Was he like World War II or Korea?
Korea and Vietnam.
Korea and Vietnam.
Korea and Vietnam. Went in as a very young man.
Nobody goes in as an old man.
Still a teenager.
Yeah.
When he was in combat in Korea, and he pretty much rounded out his career in Vietnam. He was already a senior NCO. He'd been to Vietnam several times. So he already had retired in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right on the end of Vietnam.
Yes.
Yeah. So you went in the Army.
Yes.
Right after high school?
No, not right after high school. I tried to work, and I struggled. But I paid my bills and that sort of thing. But it wasn't going to get me anywhere. And I knew that the Army had opportunities. I already knew what the life sort of was like. So I joined the Army, and I was in armor and cavalry for 22 years.
Wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
Right.
So take me to when you first went in, where did you go? And then your deployments.
Well, when I first joined the Army, I went through basic training, and at the time it was at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And right out of Fort Knox, Kentucky, I was sent to Germany. And that's where I really learned a lot. I had really good NCOs back then, and most of them were Vietnam veterans, by the way. And they really were hard on us. And I think that tough love is what made me the way I was, and I think it just brought out my character and my drive to want to do better and serve.
Yeah, that's kind of what the military does, is they break you, then they make you.
That's right.
You come in as a kid, kind of like, I don't know, but then you grow and you.
That's right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I learned a lot when I was in, and I was not in anywhere near as long as you, but so. All right, take me at you went from basic to where to when to where?
So I went. Yes, I was stationed in a little base called in Harvey Barracks in Kitzingen, Germany, and we were on tanks. And then after that, I re-enlisted. I was an NCO by then, and I re-enlisted, and I went to Fort Bliss, Texas. because my friend was going to Fort Bliss, Texas. So we were all buddies. We went through basic together. We served in Germany together. And so we kind of put our heads together and we said, hey, let's go to Fort Bliss. Because we just like the idea of being in the cavalry, you know, that kind of tradition.
Yeah.
We were tankers, but we were in 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment in Fort Bliss. And that was very different. You have a high mountain desert. The altitude is like 4,200 feet, and it takes a couple of weeks to get used to that.
I don't think I could get used to it.
Well, we did, and you run every day.
I can't do that anymore either.
And the first time, I was really out of breath, and it was really killing me. But after a while, it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you know, in 1990, we deployed to the Gulf as part of Operation Desert Shield, and you know that turned into Desert Storm. So I was in the Gulf War with the 3rd ACR during Desert Storm.
Mm-hmm. How long were you there?
Well, I was in Saudi Arabia for 6 months before the war started, and then after that, a little more than a month in Iraq, you know, during the ceasefire. And then as soon as we had the ceasefire agreement, and part of the agreement was U.S. forces had to leave Iraq. So we left Iraq, and Saudi Arabia didn't want us there anymore. So we came back to Fort Bliss, and that was in, I'd say, I think it was April of 1991. Not for sure about that, but it was around there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe March, I'm not really sure. Might have been March, right? And so from there, I got orders right away to be a recruiter. So I was a U.S. Army field recruiter, stationed out of Indiana, Pennsylvania.
And one of those guys that promises the stars and the moon and, you know, yeah.
And I had a very hard time with being honest. I was honest, and I didn't get the idea that everybody was very honest. It's not that they didn't lie, but they didn't really tell people like it was about the Army.
Yeah.
So, but I just maintained my integrity. You know, Bob, your integrity is something nobody can take, but you can give it away.
Absolutely.
And I learned that early on from an NCO in Germany when I was first coming up. And I remembered that. So I did that for a couple of years. And then I went back to Germany. And I spent almost 7 years in the same unit. And from there, we had deployments to Kuwait and to Bosnia. And then I moved to Fort Riley, Kansas after that. And I finished out the last 7 years of my career at Fort Riley, Kansas. And so I served as a platoon sergeant and then as a first sergeant in Fort Riley.
So you went out as an E5, is that what it was?
I went out as an E8.
E8, oh,
E8,
excuse me.
First sergeant.
Pardon me. Excuse me.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So it's a little pension, one I'm very, very happy to have, believe me.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Your shirt, DAV. Now, you're a member of the DAV.
Yes.
I know you were involved with the DAV. Tell people a little bit about the DAV. And does that mean you got shot? What does it mean, you know? I
got an illness, and it was a service-related disability related to my service. So coming out of the Army, I already had disability. And so when I got here to Florida, when I came back, I joined the Disabled American Veterans.
Chapter 150.
Chapter 150 in Orange Blossom Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
That's in Lady Lake, which is now the Villages. It's turned into the Villages, basically.
You're either in Lady Lake or you're in the Villages. You're not both.
Okay.
You know, it's like the American Legion.
Okay.
That American Legion is in Lady Lake. It's not in the Villages.
That's right. It is.
You know.
Okay.
So and some people say, well, hey, listen, let's call it what it is.
Okay, it's the Villages.
No, it's not. It's Lady Lake. But anyway, tell me about the DAV and what did you do there? And I know you work with my good buddy Jack Johnson.
Yes, and Jack Johnson is also he's a department officer in the Department of Florida. He's a former department commander. That means that the state commander, and he was the chapter commander when I joined Disabled American Veterans, and he helped me along with a disability claim that I needed to file at the time. And he asked me if I would join Disabled American Veterans. So that's how I found out what makes you eligible.
And tell us, pray tell.
I will. You have to have served during a time of war or in actions similar to war, and you have to be wounded or injured or have an illness relating to your military service. And you can't have a dishonorable discharge. And you can join with any disability. You can have a 10% disability or a 100% disability. It makes no difference. You can join the Disabled American Veterans.
And what do you do as a chapter? Tell some of the things you've done, guys have done. I know we had a nice benefit here one time.
We did.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. But where does your money go?
Our money goes to helping those veterans that need it. There is a lot of veterans around, and there are a lot of disabled veterans. The chapter provides the van that takes patients up to the main hospital. Our main hospital is Gainesville. So it goes from our our VA clinic in the Villages. That's the outpatient clinic.
On 42 there.
Right. And it goes from there, and it takes them up to Gainesville. So we provide that van. That's not a cheap purchase.
Sure, yeah.
So we have money on hand for whenever they're going to need another van, and this is what we've done on a continuous basis. We also donate to the Veterans Service Office because they don't make any money either. They're veterans, so they need a little money to run some of the things that they need to do in our outpatient clinic. We had a fundraiser in January. It was a memorial fundraiser in honor of one of our members that passed away, and it was a golf tournament. And we just started the first one, and we plan on having another one. We're trying to plan for this next winter to have it. And so that's a good benefit. We also provide veterans with rides, or we provide other veterans with medical assistance as far as wheelchairs or a motorized chair or a scooter. Sometimes some veterans, they don't necessarily qualify for VA benefits, but that doesn't mean we don't help them.
Yeah.
So we try to reach out to all the veterans that we can, and widows and their families. So we have 2 dedicated service officers at the Villages Outpatient Clinic. And what they do is they do claims, they review claims, they do interviews with people to help them and give them the information they need to help them do a claim. We have power of attorney, so they'll collect power of attorney. You don't need to go through a lawyer to do a claim through the VA. A lot of people think that, but you're going to pay a lawyer up front when you get your money.
Yeah.
The DAV doesn't take a cent. Okay, the DAV does not take a cent.
Well, let me ask you got to be a member of the DAV? I mean,
you do not have to be a member of the DAV.
If I want to put a claim in, or if I want to see a service officer, I can just go see.
You can just see a service officer. That is correct. You do not have to be a member. I guess you have to be in the VA system. Well, no, you don't have to be in the VA system. say, for example,
Just got to show you're a vet, right?
that's right. But say, for example, you had no disability as far as the VA was concerned. How do you make a claim? How do you get into the VA system? Right? So if we can establish a claim, then you would get service-connected benefits, and then the VA would help you. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, you came down with kind of a blood disease or something.
I got a nerve illness.
A nerve illness.
Comes and it goes.
Comes and it goes.
It doesn't quite go away.
Yeah. Well,
But I'm happy. I thank the Lord that I'm, sitting here and breathing and talking to you after everything I've been through. So,
well, I'm glad you're happy talking to me. There aren't too many people that way. But
I'm just
anyway.
happy to be alive. Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So you also get involved in other things. You wanted to talk about the Veterans Park in the villages. I guess you're part of that too?
Yes. I joined the Veterans Memorial Park of the Villages a few years ago. A man named Dick Simpson was then president of the park.
I know him.
And he asked me if I would come on to the board. And then I've since taken over the sound system. So we operate the sound system. My wife and I, we go and we set it up. And so we have a pretty good sound system now. And we do 11 ceremonies a year. And then we coordinate for singers and speakers. And with other things, we have a 9/11 ceremony. So we coordinate with the police and fire department. So they're involved in that. And we just are in a kind of a support role after that. We're more custodians of the park. And it's for everyone to enjoy. We have a memorial brick sale that's done through the village's district office. And anybody can come and buy a brick. And once a year, those bricks get laid in. And we've got over 12,000 bricks in there that represent somebody that is serving or has served or has gone away, passed away. And so it's nice. It's a memorial, a place of contemplation. When you're not having a service there, anyone can come and just reflect. And it's a place of honor, really.
Now, there's a website or a Facebook page or something.
There
if somebody's
is
watching this and want to
yes,
learn more about
yes,
it, and you're going to tell us.
You can look up the Villages Veterans Memorial Park, and you will find the Facebook page, and there's also a link to the website, Villages Veterans Memorial Park.
Okay. Well, you're keeping busy now anyway, right?
It keeps me busy enough.
Yeah.
Busy enough. And with all those and with church, because I serve as a usher and I do other things. I'm involved with my church. My wife and I, we do a lot there. And so with all that, we have plenty to do. Work is never done. Helping people, just like is never done.
Yeah, well, you're my kind of guy because you're a difference maker. Those,
I pray so.
Yeah,
I don't see it a lot.
I think so. I know so. I know you, and I know of you. But yeah. So anyway, 22 years you say you went?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And now you're active with the park, and but you're still a member of the DAV.
Oh, yes.
And the DAV has, you go to the DAV Chapter 150, what is there?
Yes, DAV.org, and look up our chapter. Anybody that's not around the villages can look up. If you say, for example, you want to be a DAV member, you can join online for as little as $40. And then they can just take money out of whatever to pay off their membership. You'll get a membership card as soon as you pay your first $40.
And you get a magazine, right?
We get a magazine and also a lot of discounts. I don't know all the discounts, but you get discounts on travel, you get discounts on rental cars, you get discounts on hotels. So there's quite a few. So I guess that's a Benny, a benefit.
You know what? And I know what you've done and Jack do, and we're all in this together. And
Yeah, that's right.
So
and there's not many.
I appreciate you. Well, yeah, you're right, but there are some very good people out there. So.
Oh yes.
Anyway, anything you want to say in closing?
No, I think I said enough. I talked a lot already. I think.
You did.
I didn't stop.
But the Army was good, and you would recommend young people join the service.
If they have no direction, and if they can qualify, I'm sure the Army can find a job for them, or any service for that matter. I'm not biased. Maybe I'm biased about
I am.
the Army.
Well, the Air Force.
It's just because I know more about it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
why not?
Most of my family, my uncles, they were all Army, World War II.
Yeah.
And one was, I would tell people this all the time, he was my godfather. He was my Uncle Ted, and he was awarded Distinguished Cross for Heroism on the beaches of D-Day.
Oh, wow.
So, I grew up with a lot of veterans. And I think that's kind of steered me in the direction that I did. So
You have a better appreciation for it.
I
That's
do,
great.
I do. So
Yes.
we're going to say goodbye, Mike.
Okay.
We're going to look right in that camera right over there.
All right.
To all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.
Since 2009, Project SOS has assisted our veterans both overseas and here at home to overcome medical issues, homelessness, and disabilities. Initially, our efforts resulted in over 22 clinics opened in Iraq and Afghanistan. Recently, as troops have been withdrawn, we have concentrated on issues here at home. During this past year, we have been able to distribute 42 motorized wheelchairs and numerous mobility devices to our local veterans who have served in World War II and up to and including Afghanistan. We continue to offer solutions to our local homeless veterans in the Ocala National Forest and other Central Florida locations. Project SOS Support Our Soldiers needs your assistance to continue helping a growing homeless veterans population. Over-the-counter medications and personal hygiene supplies are acutely needed. Your financial aid will greatly increase the support they so desperately need.